Hello, everybody. It is 12 o'clock, so we are beginning our webinar. I hope everyone is doing well and having a great day. Welcome to SCO's May webinar on becoming a competitive applicant. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tara Pinnell. I'm the Student Services and Admissions Officer here at SCO. I'm also one of the team members who answers your admissions questions and participates in the admissions process. Before we get started, I ask that we all use proper Zoom etiquette by keeping microphones muted and less speaking, limiting background noise, and respecting all the webinar's attendees and facilitators. We'll have time for questions towards the end of the webinar, but in the meantime, if you do have any questions or concerns that need immediate attention, please feel free to use your chat feature to communicate with us. We will be watching. Today, we're going to go over a presentation covering the application process, and we'll hear from our Student Services and Admissions Director, Ms. Raquel Logan, about what we look for in an applicant at SCO. This webinar is being recorded and it will be free and available to view starting next week on our website. So I would like to begin by introducing Ms. Raquel Logan. As I said, she's our Director of Student Services and Admission. So hello, Raquel. How are you?
Hello, Tara and everyone. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. All right, I think we're about ready to start our presentation. I'll just give Raquel a minute to get the presentation loaded up and then we can get going.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen, Tara?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you again, Tara, for the nice introduction. Before we jump in, I want to hear from you guys. This is going to be an interactive webinar, if you will. So I want to hear from you all today because our goal is to ensure you're getting what you need from our presentation today and the time that you have with us. So let's think about that for a moment. In the chat, tell me what is the number one thing you hope to learn today. Maybe it's about your GPA, what are shadowing or leadership experience or what do I expect on interview day, or your personal statement, or what truly makes an application stand out? So I'll give you all a few seconds to type a question or whatever's top of mind for you today, because that's the goal, to make sure your questions are answered. And again, we make the most of this time that we have today. So while I'm presenting, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, and I want to make sure I get an A+ today on my presentation. So I want to make sure I answer all your questions. How does that sound? Give me a thumbs up in the chat that sounds good and you guys are ready to get started. Because I did have a decaf coffee today. I'm feeling energized. It's working for me. All right, so let's get started. All right, that's me. Okay, so here's our agenda. We're going to cover some common questions that you guys have when we're speaking with applicants, OET, GPA considerations. How much shadowing experience do we require at SCO? What's the application process? I'm going to give you my advice. And Tara, feel free to chime in to help you become a competitive applicant, and just even advice on interview day, the OptimCast applications, and considering we've wrapped up the last admission cycle and we're about to go live again and on June 25th of this year. So I have a lot of information I want to share with you all. Also about how important is it to complete your application with your extracurricular activities, service, employment experiences. again, an overall, how do you become a competitive applicant? We'll also share a 2024 student profile and some professional tips that'll help you throughout the application process. Okay, so before I go through each question, I'm going to just share some information about the process. At SCO, we look at your applications holistically. Okay, but timing does matter when you're applying to SCO. So I'm going to pause and make sure you guys let that sink in. Timing does matter throughout the admission process. And let me tell you why. Applying early gives you the best opportunity for interview consideration, scholarship opportunities, and other admission, and just a smoother admissions process overall. Okay, so again, apply early. As I mentioned, OptumCast will open up June 25th of this year. So you can start the process. One thing I want to note and want you guys to understand, when you're thinking about applying to SCO and other schools, let me just speak for SCO, you don't have to have all of your prerequisites completed when you apply. That's been, I don't know, several applicants this year when they applied later in the cycle, and they were competitive applicants. I was like, why did you apply so late in the cycle? Oh, I wanted to complete all of my prerequisites, which that's fine if you want to do that. However, it's not necessary. As long as you have all your prerequisites completed by the time you start with SCO. So let's say you all will be applying to start in the fall of 2027. So by August of next year, you would have to have all your prerequisite courses completed. Now, I do understand and that some of the prerequisite courses will help you on the OAT. So we do recommend you getting, like you take your general biology 1 and 2 with labs, maybe general physics 1 and 2 with labs, or general chemistry or organic chemistry. But again, you don't have to have all your prerequisites completed before you apply to SEO. Another thing, I want you to understand that as an admissions team at SCO, we are here to help you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. To schedule a meeting with us, with Tara, myself, or even Avery Cunningham, who's part of the admissions team. So we want to have those conversations with you. We want to guide you as much as possible along the way. We're here to help you navigate the process and make sure you're putting your best foot forward. Also, come and visit the campus if possible. There's something powerful, I think, about seeing the environment, meeting students and faculty, picturing yourself here, maybe even before you apply to SEO or once you apply. Think it benefits those applicants to come and see the campus and speak to us in person. So I'm going to get back on track with this. So what are we looking for in an applicant? We'll go through that and we'll talk about what's more important, OAT, GPA. I think OAT and GPA are equally important, and we look at your application holistically. Okay, should I retake the OAT? I wouldn't recommend that without speaking with someone from our team. It's expensive to retake the OAT, and your file may be competitive with your current score, but without reviewing it prior to you retaking it, we can't advise you. Uh, how much shadowing experience should I have before applying? I mean, we would like to have someone have at least 35 to 40 shadowing hours, but you don't have to pause on applying to SEO without having those hours completed. So if you have 20 hours and you apply, your file's competitive, you may still be invited to interview with us. And on interview day, we would make those recommendations or recommendation, excuse me, to you to get additional shadowing hours. How important are extracurricular activities? I think everything's important in your file because it tells your story. Like, we want to get the best picture of you and how would you fit in at SCO. Hope all this is making sense to everyone. All right, so right now, I would say if you haven't taken the OET, you should start considering taking it during the summer. I think that's a sweet spot for many applicants. June, July, August, probably August. So we recommend at least 3 months to prepare for the OET. So once you're out of school for the spring semester, maybe taking that time to schedule the OET. However, if you're not ready for the OET the summer and you feel like maybe I need to take it during winter break, you know what's best for you. This is just like a recommendation of what we've seen in the past. How, again, every file is different. Every person is different. So you have to know what works for you and to make sure you're prepared to take the OAT. However, I think everyone should start completing their OptumCast application in June because the application is long and there's a lot of information on the application, and we want to make sure that yours stands out to us. Like, we want to remember you. Like, once, let's say, who's on here? Olivia Williams. When I read your file and I have a picture of who you are and how you would fit in again at SCO, how competitive your application is, and then I can give you maybe recommendation early on in the process. Let's see. So you'll need 2 letters of recommendations, one from a pre-health advisor or science professor. Because some people have graduated college, maybe been out of college 2 years, and they're like, my pre-health advisor is no longer there. We will accept a letter of recommendation from a science professor. And you also will need a letter of recommendation from your optometrist. Your personal statement. Let me go back. I skipped over official transcripts. We'll need official transcripts from all previous colleges attended and where you're graduating from. But again, that would be part of your matriculation process, and that would need to be in the completed transcript wouldn't have to be in until you graduate, but we will need an official copy of your current transcript, if that makes sense. Your personal statement, that's something I think I can speak for the team. We really enjoy reading your personal statement. Again, it gives us a picture of who you are, what's something that's unique about you, or just your overall story and what led you to the field of optometry. We want you to list all of your shadowing hours, optometric experience, previous employment, extracurricular activities or involvement. We like to get the entire picture of who you are. And if you only have your personal statement, letters of recommendation, your transcripts, but the application is empty when it comes to shadowing hours, previous employment, service hours. We're like, what's going on with this person? What did they do during college? Were they in any sorority or fraternities or club member? You know, were you in a club? Did you hold any leadership positions during that time? Like, everything is important on your application, because when we meet as an admissions committee, we want to understand you, but understand if you're able to have good time management skills. This program is quite rigorous. I mean, I haven't enrolled, would never enroll in this program. You guys are brilliant individuals. I mean, I feel like I see everything about the students and their grades, and I'm like, wow, this is rigorous. So we want to make sure that you're able to succeed in our program, but have that school life balance also. Also, when you're completing the OptumCast application, you will need to complete a supplemental application for SCO. It's a quick document that takes maybe 5 minutes to complete. And then once we have your OptumCast application completed, your SCO supplemental application, and pay the fee, we'll review your file. And I can tell you personally, our team reviews every application that comes through our OptumCast, the cycle. We review it. I've read over 300 personal statements and reviewed every letter of recommendation, and just looked at that file and made a recommendation to someone, or if it's competitive enough, we'll invite you to interview with us. All right, so this is the profile of the class of 2025. We reviewed 746 applicants. Of the 746, we probably interviewed, I can say, over 300 people, either in person or virtual. And we accepted 140 students. Their average GPA was a 3.68, average OAT 332, and 137 of the applicants had a bachelor's degree or higher. Again, these are just averages, so don't panic if you're like, oh my gosh, my GPA is a 3.5. We review everyone's file individually, and we will make recommendations about your file, or invite you to interview with us. All right, so we're gonna say this again. I'm gonna repeat this probably ad nauseum. Apply early. Apply early, even if you are taking the OAT in January. Still submit or start your OptumCast application and complete your supplemental application, because we will still have your file in front of us. And once it's verified, we'll review it. You can't be invited to interview with us unless your OptumCast file is verified anyway. So again, why not have your file in queue, verified, and all we're waiting on is your OAT scores. Once you take your OAT, and this is just an example, if you take your OAT in January, your file's already verified, you can send me, Avery, Tara, a picture of your OAT scores, and you can be considered for interview. So hopefully that makes sense. But the preceding year, you should start working on your shadowing hours, prepare for the OAT. Again, the recommendation that we have for applicants is to prepare at least 3 months for the OAT. Then take your OAT. Always contact the individuals who you are asking to write a letter of recommendation on your behalf. Make sure they're going to say good things about you, whether it's your optometrist that you've worked for or working for, that you had a good experience with that person, and or your advisor. Make sure they're going to say something nice about you, and or if it's a science professor, because I'm speaking from experience. I have read letters of recommendation that we had to follow up with that person to say, how was that work experience? How did that individual work for you? And get clarity about what they wrote in the letter. Again, I think you should begin Optomcast when it opens up. Because you may want to write your letter of recommendation. You're going to want to have someone to proofread that for you. I mean, I'm not saying have 50 people proofread it for you and sit on it for 6 months. True story. I've had people just say, I just needed one more person to proofread it. Okay. And then that person may have a different opinion of, the other individual. So have a few people proofread it for you, but it's your story. And it's an opportunity for us to get to know you. I mean, again, that's the timeline that's recommended. Then once we review your application, we're going to start inviting people to interview with us. Once their files verified, as early as end of July, beginning of August, we will start having in-person interviews, and everyone within the United States will have to have if they're invited to interview with SCO, it's going to be in person. So again, only like international students are offered the opportunity to interview virtually with SCO. And we'll interview through the spring. I think we had our final interview mid-April of this year. All right, so again, there's no hard set minimum scores for your GPA or OET. Again, we review each file. I'm going to say that a lot too. We do review each file that we get in, and we'll read your letters of recommendation. We'll read your personal statement. We'll look at your transcript from freshman year to senior year. And if we have questions about like what happened your freshman year, we'll email you to get clarity on, let's say, maybe you had a rough start, and we're reasonable enough to accept like some form of why this happened or that happened, whatever the situation may be, as it relates to your GPA or OET scores, and subcategory if your biology grades are strong, but you may have scored a 290 in biology on the OET. We would ask, like, what was your experience? Like, it may not impede your opportunity to interview with us, but we're always like going to ask the questions. Getting prerequisite courses, we will accept AP courses, just so we have documentation that you've taken that course either from your registrar or the advisor. Must pass a class. We want to make sure, obviously, you learn the material. And again, you can ask us. I've had students say, I made a C- in this prerequisite. Do I need to retake it? I mean, if you understood the material well enough to succeed in our program or take your OAT, because we want you to perform well on the OAT. Again, reach out to us. I mean, each of you will have my email address, Tara's email address. I like meeting with students before and throughout the application process to advise you about, what you should do to improve your chances to even get invited to interview with us. So we want to speak with you. We want to advise you. I just had someone email me today about the MCAT. She had taken the MCAT and her scores are competitive with a 512 on the MCAT. Even though we prefer the OAT, we will accept MCAT and GRE scores if they're within the competitive range. She didn't share her GPA with me, so I did ask her to share her GPA with me. But again, we're communicating, we're advising that individual, we're making a connection with them to, you know, make sure they're successful throughout that journey that can be quite stressful for a lot of you. All right, so experience in the field, as I mentioned, 30 to 45 hours of shadowing, 2 to 3 different modes of at least 2 private practices is what we like to see. And make sure you have researched the field. Optometry is a very legislative type of field. And if you're invited to meet with us in person, our faculty want to know that you understand the field you're pursuing. Like, why do you want to be an optometrist? What do you know about the field? And if you don't know anything about it, which that won't ever be the case, I mean, they may question, like, why are you here? So make sure you do your research on the field and yeah, understand what's going on with it. All right, so this is important to me and the admissions committee when we're reviewing an applicant when they interview with us. Like, who are they? Like, are you able to balance different responsibilities? And not saying going to school, taking, 18 credits isn't enough, but you should be involved in something else on campus, outside of campus. So we want to see that because our students here are big into giving back to the community and maintaining, at least 23 credits per semester. I mean, even us with our busy workload, we're a small department here. We took time out of our day yesterday and we had a service day. So we like giving back to our community and we want to make sure our applicants are doing the same thing. Also teaches like, again, time management, discipline when you have other activities besides school. So even working a part-time job, whether it was current or maybe even in high school, people will put that they worked and volunteered the summer. We want to see that you have held a job or did other things besides going to school. Again, at SCO, we're committed to service. And we want, if you are able to maintain a strong GPA or solid grades in your undergrad program, plus involved in your pre-optometry club or any other activity on campus and be of service, we feel like you will be able to handle the pressure of such a rigorous program. All right, so professional tips, and we're updating all of our Optomcast emails right now. But we will send you emails. So ensure that when you're communicating with us that, I mean, you don't have to call me Miss Logan. Raquel is fine. You don't have to be formal. But, have those pleasantries at the beginning of your email and, be polite when you're communicating with us, whether it's over the phone or through email. And even when you come to campus for your interview, I always say dress for success, be professional. We say business casual type attire, but it's basically an interview that you're having with us. So we want to make sure that you should want to make sure that you're representing yourself well, and that we'll remember you when we meet as an admissions committee to decide whether or not we'll accept you into SCO. Look at our website. There's so much information on the website. I mean, I may be biased, but I think we are one of the best websites out there as far as, again, becoming a competitive applicant, to seeing testimonies from current students, even our faculty, uh, sharing information about their experience, either at SCO or just what led them to the field of optometry. Again, be patient with us. I mean, I feel we do a great job with responding timely, but I'm guilty. I've had one or two emails that may have slipped through the cracks, or I thought I hit send and it's sitting in my draft. So just be patient with us. If you don't hear from us, let's say 48 hours, you should respond. You should follow up with us to say, hey, just putting this back at the top of your email to make sure you didn't forget about me, or give us a call, because we want to help you. Our goal is to be of service to you, the applicant, and help this be a seamless process for you. And make sure you ask lots of questions. Like, no questions are off limits. Our VP of Student Services, I think, what does Joe say? The only question that's dumb or is the one you don't ask. I'm paraphrasing, but he says something to that effect. So we encourage you to ask questions. So Tara, I'm going to pause, and if we could go in the chat to see if any questions that I may have missed or that's out there. Tara? Oh,
You want to just go, do you want to start from the top and then work our way down?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, Sophia asked, she wanted to know about interview day and what you look for in an applicant on interview day. I feel like we talked a little bit about what we look for in an applicant, but interview day is one that we haven't really touched
Sure.
on.
Sure. I think confidence is important on interview day. Prepare questions, and I'll give you guys a bit overview of interview day. You'll come to campus. You're allowed 1 to 2 guests. It's a full day. We start usually about 8:45, and so we'll do the welcome. You'll meet with me or someone from the admissions team, and we will have your file. That's considered an open file interview. And so if you are missing any prerequisites, we would talk to you about your prerequisites that you're missing, or anything in your file that we need to clarify to ensure that we're going to advocate for you when we meet as an admissions committee to review your file. Ask questions of us. I say prepare at least 2 to 3 questions for the admissions team if you genuinely have a question for us. And then you'll have a closed file, and our meeting, digress, usually will last 15 to 20 minutes with the admissions representative. Then you'll have a closed file interview with the faculty member. They'll only know you're Jayla Winston, and wherever you're from, Jayla, that's all they'll know. Or, yeah, that's it. And so they'll ask you about why you're interested in optometry. What do you know about SCO? But you can also ask them about their experience in the field, and just whatever question you may have. Again, prepare questions for them. Always be professional in your communication with even each other. So we'll have between 10 to 12 applicants on any given interview day. And we're always listening to the conversations, not to be nosy, but how are you going to represent, SCO and yourself when you're meeting with patients in the clinic? So always be professional on interview day. Have fun, be yourself, be confident. But again, prepare questions, and then you're going to get a campus tour um, of SCO and the I Center, and that's going to be led by one of our student ambassadors. So again, make sure you're again professional even when you're interacting with the student ambassadors. And then you'll have a bus tour of Memphis because many people have never visited Memphis. So we try to give you a picture of like where our students live or just fun things to do in Memphis. And then we end the day. So my advice is prepare for your interview with the faculty and the counseling session with us, and be professional in your dress, your communication, and have fun. Hope that answers your question.
The next question was how to best utilize the experiences section word count. So on OptumCast.
For the personal statement.
The experiences section. So you know how
Oh,
they'll submit like volunteer experience or like if they're in any organizations and things like that. So
okay.
but the question was to what how do they whittle down their experiences in the word count or in this section, because I believe there's a
Okay.
word count limit.
My rule of thumb, I love things in three for some reason. So you could put your top three um experiences that you have in there. Just don't leave it blank. Even if you just volunteered every year with your church or somewhere, or service hours at a food bank or what have you, just put something in there because when we get an application and we just have their personal statement, two letters of recommendation, their transcript, and then there's nothing for work experience, extracurricular activities. Sometimes, dare I say, even optometric shadowing experience. And we'll reach out to the individual and say, hey, please complete that those areas. So I would just, put something there, but top three experiences and time frame you've worked in there. Hope that answers your question.
And then the next question was, how would you suggest to have a strong personal statement?
Yeah, that's a great question. And everyone's so different. So think about your file. Like look at, all your experience that you shared with us. If it's leadership experience, service hours, where you've worked. Uh, don't repeat that in your personal statement. Let us get to know you. Like what's something unique about you, Stuart, that brought you to optometry, or just something unique about you so we can, get a picture of who you are. And yeah, so don't repeat what's obvious on your application. Share something that's unique about you. Some stories have been sad, like people are drawn to optometry because of what their grandparents went through with their sight, or losing their sight, or just health issues that were brought out during their visit to their optometrist. Yeah, it doesn't have to be sad, it can be happy. But just something unique about you that, brought you to the field of optometry. Hope that helps. Or sometimes people write about their own personal experience. Like one lady wrote about being in, was it the rodeo? Or I mean, we've had so many unique stories, that again, lets us get to know you maybe a little bit outside of optometry, then bring it back to optometry. Uh, you can call me and we can talk about it more offline, if you like, or email me.
The next question was what makes applicants stand out? I feel like we went over a little bit of that. If you want to kind of paraphrase.
Sure. I would say someone who showed that there's a clear path why they chose optometry. When we look at their grades, they're always progressing every semester with their outcomes, strong OAT, great letters of recommendation, good personal statement, someone who completes the application in its entirety. That does stand out to us because I think you were thoughtful and intentional with completing the application. And again, great personal statements that will leave us like, wow, this is so impressive. Yeah.
The next one is one that I get a lot in my counseling sessions, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you do too, Raquel. So I have my own answer that I'll
Okay.
probably spout off after you.
Okay.
In general, what characteristics do the strongest applicants have?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to say confident, intentional. Some are even a little nervous. They're professional. I'm speaking more interview day, those that leave me like, wow, I'm super impressed with this person. Someone who's honest and takes accountability, even if they had, like I say, maybe a bad semester. Um, Someone who pays attention to the details on the application, completing the application completely. That's all I have. What else, Tara?
I think
Do
being
you have?
humble is a really good one.
Yeah.
But what I like to tell applicants when they ask me this question is that there's really not a set definition of characteristics that you need to have to be a strong applicant, because I feel like SEO is a place where we have lots of different types of people.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why it's such a strong community, is because we don't look for just one type of person. We look for a variety of students, and we really like to have a variety of students on campus because what makes you a good doctor is being able to connect. And when you can connect with other people, it's helpful for your patient outcomes, um, in the sense that there are not always outgoing patients. So you don't always have to be an outgoing doctor. Sometimes we need the quieter doctors because they can connect with the quieter patients. There are people who come through who have really, really great academics who are very shy and quiet and reserved, but that doesn't make them a bad applicant just because they're a little more on the reserved side. Or we have some who come through who maybe don't have the best academics or maybe don't have the best OAT score, but their demeanor on interview day is just so likable. It makes them come off as being a good doctor in the future because you like the bedside manner that they could have. So I wouldn't want to put anyone in a box of saying that there are strong applicants who have this type of characteristic just because they have that type of characteristic, because some people can be outgoing and that's something that we love to look for, but also just because you're shy doesn't mean we're not looking for that as well. I just feel like it's a very diverse community here of people, and that's kind of what I enjoy about working at SCO, is because we don't just look for one type of person. We look for people who we think are going to make good doctors, and good doctors are not just one set of characteristics.
Exactly. Okay. What else we have?
Um, there was a question about interview day and GPA. We kind of covered interview day, but if you want to go over GPA just a bit.
Sure, a competitive GPA, I mean, we would say above 3.0 or better. But I've seen it where we've had a 2.9 GPA with a 350, 340 OAT scores. So competitive, at least 3.0 or better.
Okay, and then someone asked about how many hours of shadowing should we aim for? And I know you did say 35 plus hours is what we kind of look for, but they don't have to have that before they come for the interview. Just kind of would like to see them have 35 or more hours of shadowing at least by the time they get here.
Right.
Um, and then we have how soon are students faced in front of the patients?
Well, that's a great question. I would say from day one, you have patients, your peers or your patients when you start first year.
Um, and I think we start, what is it, second year when they start to
Second
kind of
year,
shadow a little bit in the clinic?
yes. But again,
Mhm.
our faculty like to say they start from day one,
Mhm.
your peers or your patients. So that's pretty important.
And then what stands out the most on applications? It's a little bit of a one that we've kind of repeated just a
Hmm.
bit, but and then we have, would you recommend submitting your application before receiving the official OAT score?
Yes.
Like Raquel said earlier, you can take the or have the OAT planned and still submit your application, and we'll look over your application and just wait until we have the score. On the day that you take the test, they will give you your test scores after you have finished, and you can take a picture of it and email it to one of us, and we will be able to use that in determining whether we're going to ask you to come for an interview or not. That way, it kind of dwindles down the time that it takes for OptumCast to recognize that you have new test scores in your application. So I want to say, how long is it, Raquel? Like 2 weeks or something that it takes for OAT scores to populate in
The
OptumCast?
official scores, but we
Mhm.
will accept, like you mentioned, the unofficial scores if they send us a picture of it. And we'll review
Yeah,
it and yeah. But it does take about 2 weeks to get the official
yeah.
scores. Mhm.
So you'll save about 2 weeks by
Right.
sending us a picture of your scores instead of just waiting for it to populate into OptumCast. I know Raquel went over that a little bit earlier, but just
Mhm.
in case we had some people who came in after. Um, the next one was, let's see, is there anything that we need to do during the application process to be considered for scholarships or financial aid? Which is a really great question.
Sure. With scholarships, you don't have to complete an additional application. Your OptumCast application is your application for scholarships. Now, financial aid, you would have to apply for, and we have a great financial aid team that would be willing to assist you with that process. But again, scholarships, everyone's considered for scholarships based on their application.
I think that's all the questions that we have, but it looks like we may have someone typing.
Okay.
So if we want to give them just a second, are there any other questions that anyone has that we maybe haven't touched on yet that you would like to ask? Okay, here is the question. Um, is there a OSCE volunteer opportunity to participate as a mock actor for the students?
Okay, I don't even, do you know what that is, Tara?
I don't, but I
Yeah,
can
we'll have to
try
get that
it.
to you, Tamara, on that. But I just want to say this as we wrap up today. I want to leave you with this. Becoming a competitive applicant is not about being perfect. Keep that in mind, everyone. It's about being intentional, prepared, and proactive. Start early, build meaningful experiences, ask questions, stay connected with that missions team. Make sure your application tells your story clearly and authentically. If you take one thing away from today, let it be this. Don't wait until the deadline to begin acting like a future optometrist. The strongest applicants engage early, stay organized, and use every opportunity to learn more about the profession and the schools you're applying to. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We truly appreciate your interest in SEO, and we hope this session gave you clarity, confidence, and practical next steps for your journey. Please stay connected with our admissions team. Visit our campus if you can, and don't hesitate to reach out with questions. We're excited to support you throughout the application process, and we hope to see your application soon. Good luck to everyone. Do we have other questions that we missed? And Tara, that we need to address? We still have a few minutes.
Nope, everybody's just saying thank you.
Oh,
Tamara is also the one who asked about the OSCE volunteer opportunities, and it looks like she might be typing. So I'm gonna give them just a second just to see if we can get maybe a little clarity on that question before we go.
yeah.
In the meantime, though, this brings us to the end of our webinar. I know we've covered a lot of information. I really do hope that this webinar has been of assistance to you on your optometric journey. Jayla asked a question. Let's see. Does SCO provide additional advice closer to graduation in regards to contracts, etc., since there is an emphasis on professionalism, etc.?
Contract seats. Yes, sure. We do provide information to applicants based on the state where you're applying from, or we can help you with that. And what's the other part? Because it's limited seats, and we do share that information on our website. But if you reach out to us directly, we'll be happy to share that specific number with you. And what's the other part, Tara?
The question was just, do we provide additional advice closer to graduation in regards to contracts, etc., since there's an emphasis on professionalism?
Yes, apply early, and we'll communicate that to you or reach out to us, and we're happy to speak with you directly about the number of seats that we have.
It looks like Jayla is typing again, so I was gonna give
Okay.
them just a second. Um, but if anybody else has any other final questions, we can hang around for just a minute. We do have a webinar coming up. Okay, she said, okay, that's helpful, thank you. Um,
Oh,
we do
I was
have,
just sharing my contact information. If you all want to reach out to me, happy to set up a Zoom meeting with you just to discuss, your application, just your questions, just anything to help you navigate through this process. So that's my email address, and I do respond to students in a timely manner, I think.
okay. Well, like I said, that brings us to the end of the webinar. We look forward to seeing you all in June for our next webinar with our student panel discussing why they chose SCO. If you'd like to go ahead and register for that webinar, the link is live and available on our website now. If you haven't done so already, I do invite you to request more information by signing up for our inquiry form. You will receive a personal advisor and a brochure with information relevant to your goals and experiences. Thank you very much to Raquel for sharing your time and insight. We hope to see everyone next month and hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.